Sargon's forehead is covered in sweat, and his expensive jacket is mottled with burn marks. His hands are in constant movement as he works the controls for the warp engine. So, Von Valencius, you think you have won? Think again. I still have one card left to play. The Heartless has lost its Gellerfield, Sargona. A warp jump without it would be worse than death. Even you are not crazy enough to... Want to find out? Sargona's tongue darts out to wet his lips, and his voice drops from a shout to a whisper. What's that thing you lawmen always say? Any last words? Like 1,000 needles, the painful proximity of the Imperium pierces your sorcery-touched soul, and you realize that Sargona is not bluffing. He really is willing to condemn everyone here to a terrible fate. Awareness, look around. Would you indulge me by answering a few questions? Persuasion, address the pirates. Whoever brings me Sargona's head will receive a pardon and a spot on my flagship's crew. Willpower, unleash powers of the warp against your enemies. Follow you worms. We actually don't have a good option there because minus 60, even though we're at 120 willpower. Charge into battle enough, I'm carrying out your sentence. Let's start with the awareness, see what Cassia can see. Look around. The moment you glance at the sacred machines installed on the bridge, several of the pirates grow visibly nervous, exchanging looks and shifting from one foot to another. Whatever these devices are, they carry some special importance. Pascal's visor clicks anxiously as it switches repeatedly between different optical lenses and focal points. Sacrilegious data mixing, heresy, tech atrocity. Solomon catches your eye, then nods subtly toward the most frightened looking of Sargona's guards, and drags a finger across his palm, signaling that one dies first. So we now could give Solomon a 3-fingered signal and attack the guard. It's been a grand waste of my time now. For one of suspicious devices, you have such fascinating toys. I wonder what they look like on the inside. Would you indulge me by answering a few questions? What questions? What in the void are you talking about? Palpable hysteria breaks through Sargona's voice, but he does not pull the lever just yet. Who helped you steal the tithe? It could not have been Governor Medina. Not of the strange machines. An interesting choice of decorations for a ship's bridge. You were not very talkative for someone who was about to die. Yeah, who helped you steal the tithe? Sargona flinches as if from a blow. His soft whisper takes on a sinister note. Both of us are going to die here, Von Valencius, but even so, I would rather not say. You have no idea who you are up against. An interesting choice of decorations for a ship's bridge. Sargona bares his teeth. The machine spirits of these decorations will accelerate the start of my warp engine and our deaths, Von Valencius. Take a good look at the last thing you'll ever see. I'm registering a Category 2 blasphemy, defilement of a sacred creation of the Omnissiah via impure code. The sentence is torturous disposal. Pascal's drilling mechadendrite shrieks with a spray of still fresh blood. You are not very talkative for someone who is about to die. If there's even the slightest chance that I might live, I would rather keep my mouth shut. I'm going to destroy one of the suspicious devices. You have such fascinating toys. I wonder what they look like on the inside.
Housing me was your biggest mistake.
The Captain of the Heartless meets your gaze, and you see in his eyes, the desperate courage of one who knows he is doomed. He sneers, then pulls the warp engine lever. Let the gates open. We are headed for the abyss, Von Valencius, and you and I have front row seats.
Take a knee and bow before me.
Okay. Concentrate on disabling the backup engines. Find a way to knock them out before the warp opens up. So, shield generators is what we destroyed. Turn off the backup reactors. That's probably where we need to get to. Okay, so these are what's powering our shields. So if I could take out this shield, Pascal could run up there and turn off the engines. I don't see any other devices. Oh, turn off the backup reactors. We can do it from back there as well. Okay. So we need to take out some of these. What kind of health do you guys have? Only 50. That's not bad. Not really a lot of great positions for cover, since we're surrounded. Not ideal. Alright, we'll put Cassia there. Pascal. $571 and you're on fire. I feel like you're going to be resistant to my fire attacks in ways I'm going to be unhappy with. We'll get Pascal ready to head that way. Irliet, put you in cover here. Solomon. I don't know. In cover there. Then Abelard. And myself. Let's put Abelard up front here so he's ready to fight off some of these guys, or do we head him over in this direction? Maybe head towards this direction. And as for myself, I probably shouldn't just stand out in the open. Take cover here, maybe? I don't know. Something like that. I'm sure it's fine. So we have 4 rounds until warp translation. Alright, Cassia's first. You guys are gonna be a problem.
Isn't this a job for the serfs?
I'll make that a melee zone. Let's give a crit bonus. I don't know, here's fine. And then a dodge bonus to us. Now onto the usual.
Me? If you insist, Lord Captain.
Give us a couple of normal boosts. We'll take our free turn. Light ourselves on fire.
Suits my purposes.
Not fair that he got to light himself on fire before the fight even started. I've got to waste a turn on that.
All too easy.
Oh, I guess I didn't use Orchestrate Flames, which I probably want to.
Nothing I can't
Should still have a free attack for Ignite because of Run and Gun. So I target you. Should destroy that shield generator, which I'm hoping... Well, this one did this side. So that should be here, and then Pascal can run up and hit that. I'm thinking. Can I not target you? I guess not. Well, that is a shame. Can I target this one? No. Could target those guys. But if I want to start taking down these shields, that's the only one I can hit from now. So let's start there. 0 damage. Well, that is less than ideal. Okay, those things are immune to my attacks, apparently. Fantastic. Seems like a reasonable choice. Hits both the bodyguards and the primary enemy. Should stun all of them.
Not a surgeon.
Can't do another third eye, but you could do Point of Curiosity to get some people moving around in useful ways. Maybe.
Isn't this a job for the serfs?
Alright. If we want to give me another turn, we gotta use Inquisitor's Tenet, which I think I'm going to do. High momentum, that gives me a turn.
Paint your death in colors.
So how much damage can I do on you? Showing none. Not sure if I fully believe that. Am I just too far away? If I got closer... Okay, yeah. No, we can do real damage on you. If I did a run and gun, I could get to this line and hit both of them. Tempting. I could get to this line and hit all three of them, which feels really good. So you three would just die.
Nothing I can't do.
Goodbye.
My time.
Do that to get another free attack.
Already done.
And then grab a run and gun to get over to here. And melt the two of you.
All too easy.
Back to high momentum already. Do I melt to you? I suppose so. You survived. How strange. Well, then I'll just ignite you to finish you off.
Not a problem for you. Didn't stand a chance.
You turned into a demon. Come on. That wasn't part of my plan.
Nothing I
Melt to
can't
you
do.
again. Are you out of reach? I think you might be. Well, that is decidedly uncool. No, I can hit you with Ignite. We're good.
Opposing me was
There we
your
go.
biggest mistake.
Alright, your boss is dead, guys. Feel free to give up any moment. Wish I could take these out with psychic power, but I've got to rely on my allies for that, apparently.
Already done. Nothing of value has been lost.
Anyone with big numbers that I can target? 31 is not important. Combat Servitor. Oh, I can't hit you. You guys are 31s. I'm just in the wrong place to hit anyone of importance. Because you'd be good to also hit. I can't run and gun again. I can hit this guy, and some of the side attack might splash onto you.
Suits my purpose.
And it did, so you took a little bit more damage. Same here, maybe? That might be too far.
You didn't stand a
No.
chance. Nothing I can't. Opposing me was your biggest mistake.
Okay. I think that's the best I can pull off with this free turn. Wait, I have movement suddenly? Now that I'm out of actions? Or maybe I had movement before and I just wasn't paying attention. I guess let's just move to a different position for now. Back to Cassia's turn. She's already finished effectively what she can do. Iliad, please finish off some of these bigger enemies. Mark you as prey.
If I must.
And you as prey.
understand,
Oh, that combat
Lieutenant.
servitor is nearly dead. Although I should probably get her to focus on taking out these.
I hear you moving. No more.
Okay, so that opened that up. Can you claim the bounty on some of these? Sadly, no. Alright. Claim the bounty there.
I deal death with my hands.
Don't think I have any other way to get you more attacks. I can do dismantling attack, which would give you 2 more shots. Which I guess is something. Yeah, we'll go with dismantling attack.
My heart sinks with the thrill of battle.
There you go. And no one else actually matters, I think. I don't know that that's 100% true, but feels roughly true. So, sure, if you're alive at the start of her turn, she'll take a shot against you. Back to me. Alright, where can we get to? Be in a place to see the most people. There's sort of 3 I could see from over there. Fair few I could see from over here, I think. Can't see you, but I can see both of you and both of you. If I step back a square, does that allow me to see you? No. I guess, can I just shoot you from here before I move?
All too easy. You didn't stand a chance.
Yes. So then I can move forward and hit a few more.
Not a problem for me. Nothing of value has been lost.
Yeah, we're destroying the warp in the area.
Suits my purposes. Opposing me was your biggest mistake.
We can do a run and gun. That'll allow me another attack.
Yeah, you didn't stand a chance. Nothing of value has been lost.
Alright, we are now officially out of options. Apple is just like, what do I do now? So we've got one guy here, a couple more down there. Oh, can you not actually get back here because of all this cover? You have a big area attack. You do. Go here. And then smash all this cover, please, if possible.
Victory is imminent.
So that way we can get to the button. Perfect. Then charge this guy. I know Iliad's already got him scheduled to attack, but it's fine.
Indeed.
Pascal, please rush over here and turn off the backup. Within the first round. The rumble of the engines dies down. The ship has stopped its fall into the abyss of the Imperium. Good. Then I guess go over here and finish off this guy. Just cuz. 131 damage. That seemed a bit excessive. Alright, what to do with you? All the walls have come down. That's good. From there, get your Mastiff to attack him.
Let's test our skills, Glaito.
Perfect.
One of us.
Not a
would
growl.
be
I was hoping for a bite. Misclick.
Rejected. Glaito, we're undertaking this task.
Ooh, brutal. No, I don't think you're close enough that you're going to be able to effectively shoot that guy, even if I gave you another turn.
Hold on.
That was it. Alright, back to Cassia's turn.
Me?
Solomon, take another turn, please.
Yes, Lord Captain.
Let's see about shooting him. Do your double slug. Even better.
It won't take long. Target eliminated.
Perfect.
The order's clear.
Run and gun. From here,
Guilty will fall.
can you order your Mastiff? Oh, I guess that's the end of your turn. And you're too far away. That's fine. Doubt Cassia can do much more either. If you were here, could you hit him? Yes, actually.
If I may. As duty demands.
Okay. All targets eliminated. Perimeter clear. I suggest we return to the flagship and debrief. Boarding mission turned out to be more dangerous than expected. I believe additional compensation is in order. No. Want to have a look around first? Yes. Solomon nods. Acknowledged. We will depart when you're ready. Level ups all around. Always good. Let's get those out of the way. Grants +1 additional action point at the 10th and 20th exemplar rank. Cool. Is everyone going to get that? I assume so. Wait. I don't know what that all was. Yes, complete. There we go. Complete. Well, at least this level up is quick. Alright, and then loot all the things. Reflective shields, we'll have to see how that compares. What we have. I don't think we need the basic flak vests.
What is your command?
So this is shield block chance of 25. Wheeler gains +1 deflection. That's the only difference. Well, might as well go for it. We want everyone, not just you, Solomon. Silence of Shael. How does that compare to what you're using here, Liet? 29 to 30 is not as good as your sniper rifle. I'd have been close. Alright. Force access with logic. Sure, Pascal, give it a shot.
This explorator is blessed with multifunctionality.
Cogitator obeys and reveals Sargona's secrets, including information on a hidden cache in one of the systems of the Expanse. Cool, I'm sure we'll be able to check that out as a rumor. Force of Light Carapace. It's pretty crappy, 25% armor. No thank you. I took it anyway. That should have gone to cargo. Come on, where's... There. Someone's clicking the perfectly right pixel is challenging. There are goods here. We want to make sure to grab those. Dark Swiftness grants 40% dodge until the end of the next round. User suffers a -10 penalty to agility, strength, and willpower during the next round. Sure. Pascal, give that logic test. Stored on the Cogitator is a chronicle of various deals Sargona has made with the Drukhari. The captain was actively bartering human captives for xenotech, and was not above violence when it came to acquiring what he coveted. Yeah, not terribly surprising.
I won't tolerate weakness.
Pyromancer's staff, yes please. I've been holding out for a Pyromancer's staff for a very long time. Experimental Psi Amplifier. The wearer's first psychic power used in a round is calculated as if Psi rating were increased by +3 and always triggers psychic phenomena. Does that mean when I light myself on fire, I'm going to take crazy damage? But also the first attack in other rounds will be crazy powerful. I'll have to think on that. So this goes into +10 to characteristics. Sure, we'll give that a shot, and hopefully it doesn't kill me. And this will give me a +10 willpower. Doesn't actually do much, because I doubt I'm going to ever bother with Inferno, because I'm sure... that my normal action is better. We can try it when we get into the next fight, see what kind of damage it offers, but my guess is it's not as good. Heartless status report states that while the ship took a beating when attempting to enter the warp, it has passed that trial and remains fit for service. Good.
It's
I
about
sense
time.
something nearby.
We will try and find what you sensed. Ah, some goods tucked down here. Okay, I think that's everything, and we are ready to go. Good job, team. Congratulations on the mission completion, Road Trader. On behalf of the Adeptus Arbades, I extend my thanks for your cooperation. On a separate note, I am grateful for your fire support as my squad advanced on the lower deck. Your marksmanship, timing, Your shots on the fuel pipes gave us a significant advantage. And thank you, my knight in shining armor, for being so valiant and solicitous. It feels weird. You and Glaito would have managed without my help. Actually, I do believe that dog could have captured the ship all on its own. You know, I have rather enjoyed upholding the law. You and I make a good team, no? Yes, you shall be thanking me. Judging by this operation, all they teach you is how to stand at attention and die when ordered. Wow. You know, I rather enjoyed upholding the law. You and I make a good team, no? The arbitrator nods. Yes, we do. But we can return to this later. The Heartless now belongs to you, as agreed. What does that mean for me? Is it another ship that joins us in space battles? That's my assumption. Your Lordship, if you would permit me to interrupt, I am pleased to inform you that the boarding team has presented a most extraordinary gift to your dynasty. The heretics were keeping something of rare value in their hold. Our engineers have completed all the necessary rituals of cleansing. This trophy is now all yours. Stygian pattern dual module macro battery. Short range broadside macro cannons with 2 autonomous aiming modules. Fires 2 shots, dealing 21 damage per shot. 2 shots of 21 damage is terrible. I don't know what the autonomous aiming module necessarily means. And fireproof ceramite plating. Ceramite plating protects the vessel from harm, negating 5 damage on each side and reducing the damage dealt by internal fires by 50%. Probably neither of those really matters. Hello? There we go. We also discovered a large supply of provisions, weapons, and Xeno, the high factotum, catches himself, having seemingly just remembered Solomon's presence, and other valuables, which will be loaded into the flagship's holds with extremist assiduity. Provisions, weapons, and 2 Xenotech. The rest is far from satisfactory. Your earlier artillery strike, though undeniably necessary, did severe damage to the ship. It can, of course, be repaired and put to good use. We could have the Heartless escort our flagship, or, say, carry goods along one of the trade routes within your domain. Those options aren't cheap by any means, but the benefits are enticing. I want that oversized tub out of my sight. Give the Heartless over to their recollegers to be turned into scrap. We'll gain 750 scrap, which is a good amount, but not actually that impressive. Have the Heartless repaired. We'll use up 7 profit factor. Have the ship sent to our trading partners. No, have it repaired. Certainly. And what did you have in mind for the ship afterward? Wish to see the Heartless as my escort. Once it is cleansed and restored to its proper state, have it protect the flagship. Purge the Heartless of any corruption, patch it up, and assemble a loyal crew. Henceforth, it shall serve as a trade vessel for the Von Valencius worlds. What does that mean? Frigate Heartless has been converted. I mean, you're not telling me what that gives me. Does it give me more? I don't know. I like the idea of it escorting me, so we have another ship in ship battles. It shall be done. Getting the ship operational will take some time. I will inform you as soon as the Heartless is ready to serve the dynasty. Well, now that all the financial matters have been resolved, allow me to graciously take my leave. The valuables must all be meticulously inventoried. The factotum offers a deep bow, glancing sideways at Solomon, who seems to be in no hurry to leave. The arbitrator and his dog both watch as Janus leaves, then turn to you. There is one more thing, Rogue Trader. Your performance aboard the Heartless was highly appreciated. As an additional token of gratitude from the Adeptus Arbites, I will be joining your personal security detail, at least until we arrive on Dargonus to meet with the Marshal. He has business to discuss with you, and I have a mountain of reports to write up about this operation. Wink. Reports of the last thing one feels like doing after a battle, wouldn't you agree? I don't think I'm used to seeing this regarding any other companion. Fixture microfighters, very good, very true. Does this mean I get to keep this fine dog to help me kill heretics? Excellent. Assisting the Adeptus Arbites is the duty of every subject of the Imperium. I will take you to Dargonus as soon as circumstances permit. 2 dogs for the price of 1. What a steal. Of course, both still need to be properly trained, but we'll get there, right? This DLC dialogue is just... it feels different than the rest of the game has been. At least to me. I assume throwing you out of an airlock right now would prompt questions from your marshal later. So be it. I accept as long as you keep that mud of yours on a chain. Assisting the Adeptus Arbites is the duty of every subject of the Imperium. I will take you to Dargonus as soon as circumstances permit. I hope those circumstances arrive soon. The longer our journey, the more criminals are left wandering about without my supervision. Solomon nods at you, gives a quick salute, and leaves with Glaito at his heel. So he's probably on deck somewhere, I'm guessing. Yes, over here. At least, I assume he is underneath Glaito's portrait. It does amuse me. They're like, yeah, on the map, we're going to just cover up his face with Glaito, because obviously the one you're here to see is Glaito. We can't interact with the dog? What if I want to pet the dog? Alright, Solomon. Let's get more of your story.
I would like to report that Glaito and I have finished our initial inspection of the upper decks. The list of infractions ended up being 5 pages shorter than expected. I'm beginning to worry that a servant of the Lex might have little to occupy himself with aboard your ship.
Solomon stands with both his thumbs in his belt, looking around the bridge with assertive confidence. He gives you a casual nod as you approach. I'm wondering if the Eldari on board ended up on his list. I'm sure it did. The fact the list is short when there is in fact an Eldari on board and a psyker, unsanctioned psyker. We must be doing a lot of things right. Am I imagining it, or do you seem relaxed?
I doubt such a word could ever be accurately used to describe an arbitrator, but there is some truth to your observation. Since we're not in combat, I permit myself to stand at ease, which is to say, I'm standing by on full alert.
Good, that means we can converse like normal people. Prefer the mission-focused, Solomon. Make the hand sign for understood. Good, that means we can converse like normal people.
A rogue trader and an arbitrator. You have an interesting notion of normality. Well, I'll try not to disappoint you with my conversation skills.
Solomon raises an eyebrow. Tell me about the Adeptus Arbites.
We are servants of the God Emperor's law, made manifest in the Lex Imperialis. The Adeptus Arbites uphold order on the scale of the Imperium and bring merciless punishment to offenders.
So he pronounces it Arbites, but I don't know if that's just his accent or if I've been mispronouncing it the entire time I've known about Warhammer 40k. Arbites. What types of crimes do you usually handle?
The most significant ones. Beyond the Expanse, the Arbites not only enforce tithe collection, but also ensure that every planet obeys his law and that the Imperium's authority remains unchallenged. Corrupt governors, crime syndicates, rebels. Not a minute goes by without some parasite trying to take a bite out of the Imperium. We destroy any who dare trespass against the law.
So if you see someone trying to murder an innocent man whose life is irrelevant to maintaining order in the Imperium, you simply walk on by? What about witches and archenemy cults? I wish to ask you something. Yeah. Do you get involved in minor crimes, I guess is the question we're asking here.
Unless said man's innocence has been previously established, such as during an investigation. In any other scenario, murder is just a common disturbance. My intervention is only required in the case of an attack on an administratum functionary or some other important figure. Then I must take measures.
Interesting. So if he sees someone getting murdered in the street, he's not required. That doesn't necessarily mean that he won't get involved, but he's not required to be involved.
However, If I have an assignment to carry out, I will ignore any distracting factors. The duties of the Arbites are above everyday crime. We collect the tithe that feeds the military might of the Imperium and sustains its authority over many worlds. To be bogged down in trivialities is to commit a criminal waste of time and resources that have been granted to us to serve the absolute of the law.
Okay, I can kind of see that. So, various worlds have their own police force to deal with the minor crimes, and the Arbites exist to deal with the major crimes. And so, it's a waste of his time to get heavily involved in minor crimes, because there's other large crimes he should be getting involved in. What about witches and archenemy cults?
Those are indeed the greatest threat to the Imperium, and I never leave a heretic I meet without a bullet lodged inside him. But such matters are primarily handled by other forces, which are influential enough so as not to be mentioned out loud without a reason.
You mean the Inquisition? Yes. I wish to ask you about something else.
I am at your disposal.
Just how far do the powers of the Adeptus Arbites extend?
Quite far, which comes as an unwelcome surprise to many in the Expanse.
Fair.
The Arbites pass the sentence and carry it out summarily. Only the highest echelons of Terra and servants of the Inquisition and rogue traders here in the Expanse can expect the privilege of a trial. Planetary governors, nobility, clergy, to an arbitrator, they are all equal before the law.
Okay. So inquisitorial servants and rogue traders actually get trials. Planetary governors? No. If you're seen to be doing something wrong, bullet to the head right away. Let's talk about the Lex Imperialis. I am curious to know how you interpret its essence.
Testing me, are you? That is fine by me. The Lex Imperialis is both the code of law and the word of the God Emperor himself. For millennia, his decrees have been amassed and preserved on Holy Terra, in the Hall of Judgment, alongside the High Lord's orders. It is at once a titanic collection of edicts and a holy text.
Solomon's tone becomes profound, even solemn. For millennia, his decrees have been amassed and preserved on Holy Terra. I guess this is because the God Emperor ruled for a significant period before he was injured by Horus and put in the Golden Throne. Presumably this is all the decrees he made back then when he was ruling as the God Emperor. Well, as the Emperor. He wasn't a god at that point. Or at least he didn't consider himself a god and didn't want people to worship him as a god. But I wonder how much of these decrees are from the Emperor and how much is just stuff that's been added by the High Lords since then. But every world still has its own laws. It sounds as if it's impossible to know the Lex Imperialis in its entirety. Probably to some extent. There's a reverence in your words that feels almost religious. Yeah, every world has their own laws.
It does. Your capital world operates under the Lex Dargonus, formed over many generations of the Von Valancius line. However, the Lex Imperialis is the final word in every debate. It stands above any legal directives a planet may have, for it comes from the Emperor himself.
Yeah, so planets can have lesser laws, but they can't go against the Lex Imperialis law. And anytime they disagree, the Lex Imperialis wins. It sounds as if it's impossible to know the Lex Imperialis in its entirety.
It would take longer than a lifetime to read through even a fraction of his law. But there are fundamental, integral prescripts that every arbitrator knows verbatim. These are the Injuncta Cardinal, inscribed on the walls of the Arbites precinct fortresses and etched into our ammo casings. We quote them as the indisputable truth and recite them like psalms as we charge into battle.
There is a reverence in your words that feels almost religious.
As it should. The codes of the Lex Imperialis are my prayer, and I believe that every arbitrator's service is sacred, for it brings this imperfect reality closer to that inscribed in the Book of Judgment, closer to the God Emperor's will.
Yeah, there's some similarity between his view and his focus on the laws of the God Emperor compared to like a Sister of Battle, where they're both just people. They're not, space marines that are specially genetically modified super soldiers. They're just people, but are so focused on the religious side of the God Emperor's will. In his case, it's the legal side as well. But, yeah. Just the idea of having the law as prayers and carved into the ammo casings, etc., feels very much similar to what I've read about the Sister of Battle. Let's talk about something else.
I'm listening.
What is the mission of the Adeptus Arbites in the Koronus Expanse?
To collect and guard the tithe. That does not mean we ignore other violations of the Lex Imperialis. We simply act within the scope of our limited resources, the first of which being our small numbers. Here in the Expanse, many believe themselves to be too far from the civilized parts of the Imperium to have need of the law. The presence of the Adeptus Arbites helps to remind those people that the Lex Imperialis is in effect wherever there is at least one human being.
I'm thinking back on Footfall, where Corda Incendia is wiping out everyone so that she can turn it into a bastion of the God Emperor. But the fact that the Arbites were not getting involved there means that they must have been following the major precepts of the law, still giving taxes and whatnot, presumably. Because otherwise I would have expected the Arbites to show up first to take them out. That will do. Solomon nods faintly. I wish to know more about you.
You prefer to have a better understanding of the people you travel with. That makes sense. Ask.
Solomon gives you a long studying look. Where are you from?
Port Wanda in Calixis. The gateway to the Expanse, a monumental station, always covered in ships and bursting at the seams from all the dealers, pilgrims, mercenaries, and criminals. Compared to Port Wanda, Footfall is just a lifeless rock in the void.
Where in the Koronus Expanse were you living prior to coming aboard my ship?
On Dargonus. Lady Theodora gave the top level of one of the spires over to the Arbites. A noble house used to occupy it, before it decided to stick its hand into the dynasty's coffers. By offering us such prominent lodgings, your predecessor both reinforced her ties to the Arbites and made an unambiguous gesture toward the nobility. She was a shrewd woman and unforgiving.
Yeah, sounds like. Taking out a noble house because of them overstepping their bounds and giving their noble home to the Arbites is a very strong message. How did you find it, Dargonus?
I must admit, I was pleasantly surprised. I'd expected something far less civilized, given that the Koronus Expanse is on the outskirts of the Imperium. Instead, Dargonus may even compare to some Calixian worlds in status and stability.
That's positive. How did you become an arbitrator?
How? The short answer is the Schola Progenium. But I doubt you'd be satisfied with that. My father was an arbitrator, a good one, or else they wouldn't have found him in an alley filled with bullet holes. Someone who served with my father told me he was shot with 10 different weapons, and that he took at least 4 of the bastards down with him.
Yeah, so the Schola Progenium is a school for orphans of various imperial servants. So a lot of guardsmen's children, or in this case apparently an Arbites, when they're killed and their child is left behind, they are taken to the Schola Progenium to themselves be trained up to be a servant of the Imperium. And I guess he chose to follow in his father's footsteps. I don't know if that's his choice or it was chosen for him. Not sure exactly how that works out.
I was sent to the Schola Progenium right after that, and the mentors there forged me into an arbitrator. I was an eager student, thanks to the example of unyielding duty and dignity my father set for me. The only thing I didn't need to borrow from him was hate. He didn't instill that, he was always with me. I never doubted that criminal vermin deserve only execution, but it was my father's death that truly crystallized my hatred, made it complete.
Solomon's gaze is completely emotionless. Were you able to avenge your father?
No, I didn't want to. There was a time when I wasn't sure what to think of my father's death. Or rather, I tried not to think at all. I didn't look into the case, or for any other reason, to go back to Port Wanda. Arbitrators are never assigned to their homeworlds anyway. But when I was leaving Calixis, our ship spent several days docked at the station, and so I permitted myself to go to the spot where my father was killed. I stood there for a while, and nothing. I knew that another arbitrator would have already seen the investigation through. I had nothing left to do there.
Solomon's eyes stop on you. Okay. Makes sense. So whatever criminals took out his father must have been important enough, because if an arbitrator took them out, they weren't just minor crime. Although maybe killing an arbitrator automatically makes the crime significant enough that other arbitrators get involved, and it's not just considered a normal murder. Hatred does not come from nowhere. It must have been your father's influence. You haven't said a word about your mother. Who is she? You just make up that sorry tale. It did actually happen. Ha! Seems you were born to become an arbitrator. You haven't said a word about your mother. Who was she?
From what my father told me, she was a principled woman of poor health. She died in childbirth. Not having known her might be the sole regret of my life.
Okay. Hatred does not come from nowhere. It must have been your father's influence.
It's possible. He didn't speak much. Sometimes we went days without saying a word to each other. The only time he was talkative was when he was going through his cases at night. He would inform me in terse and simple words who had sold out and why, what depravities the heretics from the lower hive levels had committed, what base motives the workers had had for hanging their foremen. All I did was listen, watch, and think. That was enough.
We don't know how old you were at this time, but the idea... I'm just picturing a kid at night hanging out with his father, just hearing about various criminal cases and the blood, gore, violence occurring. That would change a kid. Seems you were born to become an arbitrator.
Born? I don't believe in predetermination, but I know that every man's destiny is to serve the Imperium. In my case, the Imperium deemed me worthy of an Arbite's rank, a heavy shotgun, and Glaito. Not sure what else there is to wish for.
What brought you specifically to the Koronus Expanse?
You should ask the Marshal. I got my assignment, and that is all I know. I assume it's due to my experience. Collecting tithes from worlds bordering on savagery, and where people haven't seen a living arbitrator in 3 generations, is a task best left to a veteran.
Fair. Transfer here sounds more like banishment to me. Not necessarily. If he was good at his job, and he doesn't necessarily care about, you know, living in the more centralized areas, if he's happy out here, wouldn't necessarily be a punishment. Could be seen as a punishment. What kinds of assignments did you handle before you were appointed to overseeing tithe cases?
I suppose I have what you would call a proven and diverse track record. Investigations, rebel suppressions, punitive raids, dozens of completed operations.
Solomon concludes dryly without any hint of pride. Have you been on any especially dangerous cases? I would like to hear about your accomplishments.
There was this one time. I was part of a raid on a gang of mutants. I excelled in battle, received an award, and was promoted to Proctor. That is all.
Solomon pauses. Are you mocking me? You're not getting off that easily, Solomon. I need details. Your goal was to anger me. You have succeeded. To the warp with your story. Do not reply to me in such fashion ever again. There are no positive answers to this. I can't just be like, oh, I was just, you know, hoping for more, but I'm not going to press. You're not getting off that easily, Solomon. I need details.
Very well. Have you ever been eaten alive? I have.
He raises his metal hand and slowly clenches it into a fist. Is that tied to the same story? Getting eaten alive was part of that story and you just generalized it to a raid on a gang of mutants that you excelled in?
That raid I mentioned was compromised. The enemy had been tipped off to our operation, and we had walked into a trap. Some mutants decided to chew my arm off. That was a mistake. Since I couldn't free myself, I pushed my hand down his throat, grabbed something inside, and used him as a shield. While the thing was gnawing on my bones and spraying me with ichor and my own blood, I opened fire on the rest of the scum. That little maneuver bought my unit a few critical seconds.
Wow. Is that when you decided you like having a shield? I'm fortunate to be fighting on the same side as you. That's nothing I've been through worse. I've been through some bad spots. Not gonna say that my challenges have been worse. It's fortunate to be fighting on the same side as you.
Fortune has little to do with it. You have formed an alliance with the Arbates, just as your predecessor did. My presence here is only the expected result of your decisions.
Take a half step towards Solomon and smile. Be honest. Do you think there's a chance of something to start between us? Something? No. I'm not going to tell him it's a banishment. Let's talk about something else.
I'm listening.
About your cyber mastiff.
You hear that, Glaito? The rogue trader himself is asking about you.
Solomon's stony expression becomes slightly more animated. Why do you call him Glaito?
His serial number is GL80. Glaito is easier to say in Gothic. Many give their cyber mastiffs striking names like Slayer or Thunder. I'm fine with Glaito.
He's just calling him by his serial number. Fantastic. What can your dog do?
He mostly provides combat support. He is trained in both lethal and non-lethal ways of disabling a target, with the ability to analyze a situation and then decide on a course of action. Glaito is a good tracker too, and he can spot basic evidence. He also knows over 100 commands. In general, he is more resourceful and diligent than most people I've met.
Solomon pauses, looking pensively at the cyber mastiff sitting at attention. What about Zogmetics? What commands does he know? Glaito down. What about Zogmetics?
Glaito, ready! The frame is mostly metal, with armored plates covering the vital segments. The jaw is reinforced. Crunching a leg off is like tearing a hair out for him.
Cyber Mastiff promptly stands up and Solomon starts pointing out the different parts of the dog's body. He turns Glaito's head to give you a better view of the fangs, as if their terrifying size were not apparent to the naked eye.
I don't even know a tenth of all the things Glaito is fitted with, but it's an impressive list to be sure. Take the sensors in his nose for one. A cyber mastiff is like an odor analysis laboratory. Alright, that's that. Glaito, attention.
Solomon ruffles the dog's hair, staring straight into its eyes. Then he pats Glaito on the back. It has hair. I assumed it was just all metal. It definitely looks all metal and I don't see hair. Sure, what commands does he know?
They range from kill and guard and the like, to more complex guard and patrol protocols. A protocol is a combination of behavioral patterns, which the cyber mastiff follows according to the present situation. In other words, I don't have to control Glaito all the time. He can adjust and react to the circumstances on his own.
I'm going to try this Glaito down, but I'm guessing Glaito is designed to only take orders from Solomon. Cyber Mastiff yawns, casually bearing a terrifying arsenal of razor-like teeth.
That is a useless command, Rogue Trader. A Cyber Mastiff must always be in an advantageous position to attack the enemy. Glaito can crawl or move stealthily if the situation calls for it, but regardless, he will not respond to someone else's order.
Okay, so there's not an order for him to just lie down and be unprepared. And even if there was, we couldn't give it, which is somewhat expected.
As you wish.
Is Glaito fully servitorized, or is some part of him still a living dog? Wait, so it's actually based on a real animal? Well, a servitor is still part living human. So I guess in my mind, this question should really be asking, is he fully robotic? Which he wouldn't be, now that I think about it, because it's illegal to have high-functioning machines that don't have organics. Because due to the harm of AI, law requires that all processing is done through wetware, which is why they use servitors and whatnot, because it has to be a human mind that's doing the processing power. So there has to be a living brain in there. I hadn't thought about that, so he's definitely not fully a robot because of 40k law. Is Glaito fully servitorized, or is some part of him still a living dog?
Generally, cybermastiffs have all aspects of their animal nature removed, but Glaito is a special case. His submodel takes a dog's loyalty and instincts as a hunter and guard, and renders them absolute. He is neither a dog nor a servitor. He is something much more. A cybermastiff, a living weapon in service of the law.
Okay. Awareness test succeeded. You cannot shake the feeling that your question has offended Solomon somehow. There is a certain vehemence in the way he describes Glaito's outstanding qualities. You talk about him as if he were a tool. Do you not feel attached to your dog at all?
Glaito is not a pet. He is an instrument of justice, as am I.
And you would be willing to sacrifice him for your mission. Did I mishear, or did you just say you consider yourself to be on the same level as your dog? Yes, that is exactly what he's saying. Proctor, evidence suggests that you are not quite so indifferent to Glaito as you want people to believe. Duty comes before attachments to you, I see. Admirable. I will never believe that Glaito isn't just an instrument to you. You'd be willing to sacrifice him for your mission?
I haven't had to so far. I do not spend time contemplating such things. It is a fruitless pastime at best.
Did I mishear, or did you just say you consider yourself to be on the same level as your dog? I mean, I assume he considers himself to still be a weapon. How did he phrase it? A living weapon in the service of the law. But that doesn't mean that all weapons are equal. Obviously, sacrificing Glaito and then getting a new Cybermastiff is less waste on resources to the Imperium's training than a well-trained and veteran RBD. Did I mishear, or did you just say you consider yourself to be on the same level as your dog?
Him or any other weapon that lies in the hands of the law. Only my service to the Lex Imperialis determines the level on which I stand.
Evidence suggests you're not quite so indifferent to Glaito as you want people to believe. He won't like that comment, but I still think it's true. There's a connection there that he is pretending doesn't exist, but does.
Impossible. You found me out. Yes, I am 100% less indifferent than I let on.
Solomon raises an eyebrow. He only listens to you then.
Correct. Both his training and his augmetics ensure that Glaito only accepts orders from me or from my superior officers. Apart from having the obvious benefits, it also serves to prevent disarray on missions involving multiple Cybermastiff handlers.
Makes sense, I see. It must feel strange to be without your unit.
I've never been a part of a rogue trader's escort before. That said, I adapt to change more quickly than you might think. And as long as Glaito is with me, I can handle any transition.
Solomon glances around the bridge. Hello, Glaito. The Cybermastiff pricks up his ears, examining you with an intelligent look that seems anything but bestial. Hey, we can pet the dog. You are a fine, loyal companion, aren't you, Glaito?
I must remind you that Glaito is a living weapon. If you like the number of fingers you have, do not touch the dog.
I'm still going to pet him. Can't you ask Glaito to sit still for a moment? I suppose my fingers do have sentimental value. I mean, if an owner tells you not to pet their dog, like if I was approaching a police dog or a military dog, and the owner of said dog said, don't try and touch him, I'd probably respect that, as much as I like dogs. Something that's trained to be a weapon. His owner knows his situation, and if he says I'm going to lose my fingers, then I suppose I won't pet the dog. I suppose my fingers do have sentimental value.
Wise choice.
Shame. Give the dog a piece of dried meat. No, probably same similar thing of he's a weapon. Does Glaito have a favorite types of training or some other pastime of choice?
Sometimes I let him play with heretics' corpses. That was a joke. If you're asking about entertainment, that concept does not really apply to an RBT's dog. But I like to imagine that Glaito is enthusiastic about training with me, that he enjoys running long distances at my side, and during target practice, he always seems eager to hear me give the attack order.
That can't be all of it, can it?
Fine, let me satisfy your curiosity. I do have a special exercise that helps to sharpen Glaito's hunting instincts. I take a few ammo casings and hide them in hard-to-reach places. One time, after a raid on a manufactorum, I gave him a whole abandoned workshop to run around in, but I also played a trick on him by throwing one casing onto a ceiling beam. Then it was Glaito's turn to play tricks. He waited under the beam until I walked up to him, then he jumped onto my shoulders and climbed to the top. He cut my temple open with his claw and almost broke my clavicle, but he got the casing.
Wow. He lets out a small cough. Bet you that dog's heavy. I think you and Glaito could do with your own training ground. I will order a space to be prepared in one of the compartments and have it outfitted with everything you need.
The equipment needs to be sturdy. Glaito is unstoppable when he's not holding back. Thank you.
The corners of Solomon's mouth curl upward. Of course. Serve with duty and honor, Glaito. Cider Mastiff growls quietly. It seems he does not take kindly to anyone making eye contact with him for more than a second. I have other business to attend to.
You know where to find me, rogue trader.
Okay, so we've got a bit more background on our new companion.